Hello, I'm Lisa LaPlante, Communications Manager for the City of Boulder City. Welcome to BC Insider, a once-a-month look at issues and people impacting Boulder City. In April 2022, Boulder City received $27 million in American Recovery Plan Act funds, also known as ARPA funding. At the same time, the number of residents experiencing housing and food insecurity was on the rise. So the city dedicated funding and teamed up with the Boulder City Hospital to create a Community Resource Liaison role. Using nearly 2 decades of experience as a healthcare case manager, she's connecting residents to a support network of services. Joining me now is Jennifer Hedland with Boulder City Hospital. Talk to me about this program. I understand you guys have a homeless outreach team. Tell me about that hot team and what you guys do.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I appreciate it. So my efforts as the Community Resource Liaison is encountering homeless folks at our local community partners, like Emergency Aid, the Senior Center, the library. And with that, I'm there to offer support, hopefully gain their trust, build a relationship, where then that maybe they will be more readily available to accept assistance with resources. I have been able to refer folks to the Workforce Program, which is a program through the Department of Health and Human Services. That program tackles barriers to keeping people unemployed, tackling those unemployment barriers. While I also do is enroll folks onto Medicaid and food stamps. Now, in regards to the hot team efforts, that entails Jimmy. He's the administrative captain with the fire department, and we go out weekly and we drive around the city. Some people may have seen us driving around, and we stop and encounter folks that are experiencing homelessness. We offer support. We give them care packages. And in those care packages will include resources for shelters, mental health resources, substance use resources, and just give them that information so they have it and let them know we're here to help. And with that, we have joining us once a month is Help of Southern Nevada's outreach team. And that's been very helpful. I've been able to coordinate us meeting up with the homeless folks, and then they can offer additional services that are limited to me that they can do through their coordinated entry programs.
Talk to me about working with our first responders. Jimmy's the second first responder that you've worked with from the fire department.
Yep.
How do they deal with these situations, and what is their reaction to it?
Very adaptable, very compassionate, willing to help. So it's a really good partnership that we have with the fire department. And then with the police department, occasionally they will refer someone to me who they think that would benefit from my services, and I will follow up with them if I don't already know them. And then recently, this was kind of interesting. There was a gentleman roaming around a neighborhood. The police called the hot team, and they took the gentleman to McDonald's and awaited our arrival. And when we got there, we were talking to the gentleman, and they actually fed him a meal. When we got there, they had a meal for him, the police officers. I thought that was so kind. The gentleman actually was developmentally delayed and mistakenly got on a bus and came out to Boulder City. He lived in Las Vegas. So we called Help of Southern Nevada. They actually came out and picked him up and took him home. And I just think that is such a true testament to community partners coming together to help somebody in need.
Wow, and you think about that, the officers took the money out of their own pocket to help.
I've actually had somebody come up to me, McDonald's that day, teary-eyed, a gentleman, and said, what you guys just did to help this gentleman is amazing.
And that's a good story, but I have to imagine there's some stories where people just don't want to talk to you. What kind of situations have you dealt with, and have you been able to break down those barriers?
So, believe it or not, most of them really are open to engaging. I don't know if we're always getting the full information up front. We have to keep in mind there's stigma with homelessness. A lot of people have experienced trauma, whether in childhood or adulthood, and there's a lot of mistrust there that's kind of put them and left them in that situation. Expert through county said it takes 17 to 32 encounters before someone trusts you. in some contributing factors can also be mental illness and substance use. Is the mental illness from trauma they endured? Is mental illness a biological factor? People turn to substances to numb mental illness. It's such an overlapping, complex issue. But for the most part, people do talk to us.
What do you think our biggest challenges are as a community when we don't see that many homeless people here on a regular basis?
And that is hard because we have a lot of people that float in and out. And so getting that rapport and relationship built, it lacks when you're not seeing them consistently. But I think overall, Clark County, we have a housing crisis. We are 90,000 units short in affordable housing. A lot of our homeless people have some form of income, whether it's Social Security or employment, but they just can't pay the high rents. And I think we need to get a better shelter system in place out in Las Vegas because a lot of people don't feel safe at the shelters. They've been assaulted, they've been robbed. And county is getting these navigation type centers going, which are refurbished motel rooms where folks can go through work programs, they have a roof over their head, they can get a shower, and also tackle their mental health and substance use issues they may be experiencing.
Some people are like, why don't we open a shelter here? But we really don't have the wraparound services. Talk to me about that.
That is true. And and I always let the homeless folks know that it is limited here. You can get food and emergency aid. You can use the library as a cooling station, but our resources are limited. But here is some information where there is more help available, and let me help you navigate that.
You've had some really great success stories. What can you tell us?
So I've been able to build a relationship with a senior apartment manager. She runs some senior apartments here, and I was able to get 3 homeless folks housed in her apartments. Of course, they have income. She's not going to take them in for free, but we were able to coordinate that and get that going. I had another gentleman, younger gentleman, who was recently evicted, resulting in now becoming homeless. And I was able to coordinate with Help of Southern Nevada to come out here and get him, and they took him into a substance treatment facility in Las Vegas. He went through that program. He's now in sober living. I keep in touch with him. He says he feels the best he's ever felt, and he plans to save his money and get his own place. And then recently there was a gentleman I've been engaging with for about a year, and we were chatting one day, and he said, I really want to get back to New York, but I just can't get a bus ticket. And I said, well, emergency aid, they can give you a bus ticket to get back home, but they have to confirm someone will retrieve you on the other end. And he said, oh, my brother will do that. So he went to emergency aid, got a ticket to New York.
Wow.
So yeah, and then I've got a couple more if you want me to share.
Sure.
And then recently I had a gentleman reach out to me. His loved one was missing. She actually lived in Boulder City for years. She became homeless. He thinks she's still here in Boulder City. And at my one of my weekly visits to the library, I encountered this individual. And I said, your brother is looking for you. Can we call him? And they agreed, and we called right away, and they reunited over the phone, which was just a beautiful thing.
Wow.
And then recently, Help of Southern Nevada came out in one of our monthly outreach efforts that we do, and I had them meet a veteran I've been following, and they were able to connect him to a VA resource and to hopefully get him on some housing through the VA.
How do you reach out to people that just want to turn their back?
Yeah, I think it's just, I think education. I think letting people know. I think the pandemic affected a lot of financial situations. Not everybody is mentally ill and using substances. I've got a guy recently, he helped him as well. He wants to find work. He doesn't have a birth certificate or social security card. They got him those items. He's now going to get an ID. He already knows where he wants to apply for work. So I think the pandemic really hit a lot of people, but I think we're all human, and it just showing some compassion and kindness towards one another. We don't know what they're going through.
Which is really what Boulder City has always been about,
yes,
right?
There's a lot of nice people here.
Well, Jennifer, I appreciate all you're doing for the city. We don't get to share those stories very often, so having you here really helps.
Thank you for allowing me to do so. I appreciate it, Lisa.
Before we go, Boulder City does have a webpage where people can go to find resources for housing and basic needs. Visit www.bcnv.org/help for more information. We also have the QR code here in the right-hand corner. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month for the BC Insider.